Howdy, howdy, y'all. It is another I Am That episode. We're now on chapter 70. God is the end of all desire and knowledge. Man, I can't believe it. 70 chapters in. We're 70 chapters in. So, first of all, I will say there's two questioners. I don't know who or who's talking when. Doesn't really see. I can't tell. There doesn't seem much clear indication. If y'all can tell, let me know in the comments below. First thing off the top bat, very interesting as well, is it starts with Nisargadatta Maharaj. It starts with him asking the first question. Normally it's the questioner that starts it, but he just, but it's basic, just where are you from? What have you come for? They explain, one's from America, others from Ireland. They've been, and they were kind of separate. They came separately, but didn't know each other, type situation. He had asked about a previous Maharashi. Um, there's a questioner that asked if him and the Nisargadatta Maharaj, if they would meet, how would that interaction go? And he's like, and I found it really interesting because essentially he literally says, as a man recognizes a man, so a Ghani recognizes a Ghani. You cannot appreciate what you have not experienced. You are what you think yourself to be, but you cannot think yourself to be what you have not experienced. And I still will say this from my personal kind of what I've seen from like what people I perceive to be enlightened, how they interact. Yeah, there is something they just recognize. I feel like even if you're not fully enlightened or not full like a full-on Ghani or anything like that, you can still recognize these individuals when you see them. They're out there, you can just feel the energy if you're paying attention. It's just like seeing a bird or just seeing anything else. Seeing the sun right here, it shines just like the sun, and it radiates. They radiate. Um. Anyways, so very. Here's another interesting quote. Maharaj, if the manifested is the sum total of all actual experiences, including their experiences, how much of the total do you know? A very small part indeed. And what is the little you know? Questioner, some sensory experiences as related to myself. Maharaj, not even that. You only know what you react. Who reacts and to what? You do not know. You know on contact that you exist, I am. The I am this, the I am that are imaginary. Questioner, I know the manifested because I participate in it. I admit my part in it is very small, yet it is as real as the totality of it. And what is more important, I give it meaning. Without me, the world is still is dark and silent. Maharaj, a firefly illuminating the world. You don't give meaning to the world, you find it. Dive deep into yourself and find the source from all meaning flows. Surely it is not the superficial mind that can give meaning. Questioner, what makes me limited and superficial? Maharaj, the total is open and available, but you will not take it. You are attached to the little person you think yourself to be. Your desires are narrow, your ambitious, petty. After all, without a center of perception, where would be the manifested? Unperceived, the manifested is as good as the unmanifested. And you are the perceiving point, the non-dimensional source of all dimensions. Know yourself as the total. So just a lot to absorb there. And I think that portion is like a really good summary of how this chapter kind of goes throughout the entire chapter. Nisargadatta Maharaj is really trying to, he's doing what he does with all these questioners, right? Trying to make them recognize that I am. This chapter, in this way, he talks about it. It's just, I feel like he goes he kind of goes over a lot of some of the initial stuff from the beginning of the book that he hadn't for a while. Because like right afterwards, the questioner asks, "How can a point contain a universe?" Maharaj, there is enough space in a point for an infinity of universes. There is no lack of capacity. Self-limitation is the only problem. But you cannot run away from yourself. However far you go, you come back to yourself and into the need of understanding this point, which is as nothing and yet the source of everything. Meaning, so, I agree with this notion that self-limitation is the only problem. That I feel like that is the whole thing. This is his whole enterprise. And he even will say this in this chapter, and I think in later ones too, that it's not about striving for perfection. You are already perfect. You already have this perfection. You already are the source, the perceiver, the knower. You are this already. It is about merely the recognition of such, recognizing that you are this knower. That is the key. So, oh, really? So, right shortly after this, the questioner talks about, I came to India in search of a yoga teacher. I am still in search. Maharaj, what kind of yoga do you want to practice? The yoga of getting or the yoga of giving up? And the questioner seems confused. Don't they come to the same in the end? Maharaj, how can they? One enslaves, the other liberates. The motive matters supremely. Freedom comes through renunciation. All possession is bondage. Now, if you know anything about, let's say, Hindu, Buddhist, probably like a lot of the dharmic traditions, renunciation of material possessions is pretty par for the course. I mean, even like the story of Mahatma Buddha, the original Buddha, like this was what he went through. He was a prince and renunciated all these things. So this idea of renunciation is very, very, very prevalent in the Eastern traditions. And what is funny is how the question responds to this. What I have the strength and courage to hold on to, why should I give up? And if I have not the strength, how can I give up? I do not understand this need of giving up. When I want something, why should I not pursue it? Renunciation is for the weak. That line I was like, whoa. He's going really far there. Renunciation for the weak. I understand though. I don't know if I would have ever thought quite in those terms, but I understand that impulse to be like, wait a minute, this thing, why are we doing this? Like, what can't I have my cake and eat it too? Essentially, that's what, especially us in the West, that's what we love trying to do. We love having our cake and eating it too. But here's this thing. Here's how he responds, which I found beautiful. Maharaj, if you do not have the wisdom and the strength to give up, just look at your possessions. Your mere looking will burn them up. If you can stand outside your mind, you will soon find that the total renunciation of possessions and desires is the most obviously reasonable thing to do. You create the world and then worry about it. Becoming selfish what makes you weak. If you think you have the strength and the courage to desire, it is because you are the young and experienced. Invariably, the object of desire destroys the means of acquiring it, and then itself withers away. It is all for the best, because it teaches you to shun desire like poison. And then, of course, he asks how to practice desirelessness, and Maharaj, no need to practice. Because like I said, after the end of the day, for Maharaj, all of this is not a thing to be practiced. It is a state of being. You're not like practicing desirelessness. You just merely are desireless. and which I agree with. I like this way of thinking about these things. It's because, for example, one might say, one wants to become chaste, and so they're like, oh, I'm not announcing I have this chastity and I am chaste, as opposed to just be it. Like, why do you need to announce it? You know what I mean? It's just announcing it and saying I am this thing instead of just be it. That's what you find people have the most success with when it comes to these things, is when they just learn to be these things and instead of trying to label themselves. Labels are only as good or in the moment at best, There's a momentary, like, you're this thing, but even then that can change at any moment. It can always change. I don't think most of this other stuff is pretty straightforward. They talk about karma and kind of go a little back and forth with karma, but I will end it on this. I'll end it on this last part because I found this really, really interesting. Maharaj, in reality, there is only perception. The perceiver and the perceived are conceptual. The fact of perceiving is actual. Maharaj, where does the absolute come in? Maharaj, the absolute is the birthplace of perceiving. It makes perception possible, but too much analysis leads you nowhere. There is in you the core of being, which is beyond analysis, beyond the mind. You know it in action only. Express it in daily life, and its light will grow ever brighter. The legitimate function of the mind is to tell you what is not. But if you want positive knowledge, you must go beyond the mind. Questioner, in the entire universe, is there one single thing of value? Maharaj, yes, the power of love. So, yeah, I think that's with that understanding of what the mind actually is here to serve, to say what you are not, to remind you what you are not. Because after all, that's how we understand it. And even early in this chapter, he talks about that to understand yourself, you must start, you can't really, it's not really about positive knowledge as much as this is about understanding what you are not. And to go into positive knowledge, like you just said, you must go beyond the very mind itself. So I wish you all the best on your journeys. Hare Krishna. Namaste. Peace to you all. And I hope you all have an incredible, lovely day.